Alrighty, let's get started. Good morning or good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us. My name is Johnny Girardi. I'm Data Sales founder and CEO. I really appreciate taking the time in these crazy times to join us. Let's jump right into the session. Today, we're doing a webinar focused on the construction industry and how natural language, AI, and analytics can help construction businesses. Let me go over to the next slide. When construction companies come to DataSelf, these are some of the challenges that we hear that we usually can address. From a very high level perspective is management. Management is complaining that they are flying blind. They have very little visibility into the data in their ERP, in their data silos, and it's usually slow and complex to get data into their decision-making process. So very common, people saying flying blind. On the IT side, the people who support the decision makers, typically the main challenges are they say that reporting, dashboarding, helping decision makers be more informed becomes a complex and time-consuming job. It's kind of always trying to keep up with the requests from management. So these are kind of very high-level complaints from IT, business analysts, or consultants supporting these construction companies. More specifically, the areas that we have been building analytic solutions around is to analyze projects, different perspectives from projects, receivables. Some of these construction companies being on top of receivables is very critical, so it's another big area. Cash flow is important for everyone. Construction is no different. In financials also, P&L, balance sheet, things of that nature. Some of the interesting things happening lately in the market is there's a lot of construction legacy systems out there. Construction systems that were designed in the 90s or 80s, long time ago. And there's a lot of companies, construction companies now moving to more modern, usually cloud-based construction systems. And being able to bring legacy data from the old system in analyzing projects. Sometimes projects go across multiple years, and when they transition from the legacy system to the new ERP system, they don't want to lose the history for analysis purposes, and that can become an issue on the reporting side, and DataSelf has been helping some of these companies address those issues. So today in my webinar, I'll touch a little bit of all of different topics. If you have questions or comments as I go through the webinar, you can make notes or use the Zoom chatting box to start putting your questions in. At the end of the webinar, I'll spend a few minutes to address those questions. All right, so let's move along. And from a very high level, the technology behind the scenes, how DataSelf does its magic. We've been doing business for about 15 years. We started the business in 2005. And the main value of DataSelf is bringing technology, analytics technology that is usually available for Fortune 2000 companies, make it simple, make it easy, make it affordable for companies in the mid-market to take advantage of that amazingly powerful analytics platform. In a nutshell, we use real enterprise data warehousing, but it's super simple, super fast to deploy, yet very powerful. So we use data warehousing behind the scenes, can be on premises, can be in the cloud. We also use analytics tools, very successful analytics tools out there, Tableau, Power BI, Excel. And at the end of the day, decision makers will be able to access the reports and dashboards anytime, anywhere, using any kind of device, Windows computers, Mac computers, mobile, devices like phones and tablets. Anyhow, I'm not going to go into the technical details, but this is technology available for Fortune 2000, just make it easy and simple for mid-sized companies and affordable. By the way, on the front end, we have a lot of reports and dashboards out of the box. And in my presentation today, I'm going to show some of them and how easy it is to modify and customize them a little bit. So I'll talk about that later. At the end of the day, what are the main benefits of data self? Obviously, for decision makers, instead of flying blind, is easy access to their key performance indicators instantly, accurately, anytime and anywhere. And with our natural language and framework, decision makers can make a lot of changes in their analytics, platform without calling others, without calling the consultants, without calling the business analysts. There's a lot of power that this technology gives to known techies to become more self-sufficient when it comes to have insights from their data. For the IT side of the business, people who support the decision makers, the data self, it's simple to set up, it's easy to maintain, and typically it automates a lot of the tasks that typically people have to do manually, export to Excel, manipulate, transform, distribute reports. A lot of the mechanical parts of reporting and dashboarding, data self can automate. So IT becomes a lot more efficient. The IT work can become more efficient. Let's take a look at the product. So let's jump right into it. All right. Actually, let me go to the demo platform. I'm going to show a few different things in this presentation. And keep in mind that this is actually our first ever webinar specifically for construction. We have a lot of clients in construction, but from a webinar standpoint, this is the first time. So our goal is, as we move forward, to have this webinar recurring and have the content better. So if you have recommendations later for us to skip things or focus on things, I would appreciate the feedback. Anyhow, I'm going to start the product presentation in the area that is focused on decision makers and for them being able to do ad hoc analysis without calling anyone else. And usually this part of the business or part of the technology is when we use natural language and artificial intelligence to help the process. Natural language query is what I'm going to be showing you. Is similar to searching the internet, like Google or Bing. A person types in a question or a sentence, the tool will interpret what the person wrote, and instead of giving articles and blogs and whatnot, the tool builds a report on the fly with the answer to that question. So I'm going to show some examples here. Let's see, I want to see revenues by year. So I type just revenues by year. The tool will look at the data model, which in this case is very simple, and we'll try to find something that matches that question. In this case, sum of revenue by transaction date year. Yes, that's what I want. Sometimes you might have many hits here. You pick the right one. Once you click on it, the tool will build an instant, accurate answer to that question. If the question is correct, is well articulated, if the tool finds the data points, the answer is instant, accurately, and is built on the fly. So this example, by year, we have revenues. So just showing like a line chart. That's it, kind of magic, ask a question, get an answer. Sometimes people want to see information on a tabular format, not on a chart. It's very easy to come over here and tell the tool, show me this information in a different format, like in this case, text table. And now the tool shows the numbers on a text table. Let me show two more examples of natural language. What if I want to see revenues by customer? So another question, and it found revenue customer. I selected, and in this case, shows my customers and revenues in a descending order. Maybe on a breakdown by project. Every customer might have more than a project. So sure, by project. So again, the tool find the answer. In this case, only one is selected. And now by customer, by project, it shows my revenues. Natural language query looks like magic. It's not, but many times feels like magic because people like on the internet, they ask questions and the tool just answers it instantly and accurately. Part of the journey with natural language is get users to think properly how to articulate the questions. You know, like just searching the internet, if you don't know how to articulate the questions, usually don't find the articles. If you know how to articulate with Google, you find a lot of articles. This is similar. And this is not for more elaborate reporting. Usually elaborate reporting, you use the report designer in data self, using data warehousing techniques, and then you can build very sophisticated or very simple reports using the report editor. Anyhow, so this is natural language and artificial intelligence. We have many clients where many of the decision makers go crazy and get many of their questions answered on the fly using the natural language functionality. Now I'm going to dive into the more specific reports and dashboards for construction that we have built for many of our construction clients and is part of our out-of-the-box solution. Some of these reports are available with our, what we call the Advanced Analytics by DataSelf. Advanced Analytics is a very inexpensive product. You know, the pricing starts at $299 per month. Some of these other reports I'm going to be showing is only available with the enterprise solution. We'll talk a little bit about it, and the pricing starts at $1,500 per month. But anyhow, let me start with the WIP report. The WIP report is an interesting journey for us. The first time that we designed a WIP report was just because one of our clients was loving DataSelf, and they told us, hey, can you just replicate my ERP WIP report in DataSelf so I don't have to go to a different application to find reports. So initially, we just designed a very traditional WIP reporting, pretty much the same as the ERP. And over time, we start to replicate and advance, you know, kind of putting colors when something is negative to highlight which projects are doing well or not based on gross profit or whatever the criteria is. And eventually we start to realize that clients needed to drill down from the WIP report into more details and more transactions. So we built what we call the single page analytics. And actually, let me go to the WIP historic. That is an even more interesting story. Recently, one of our clients, the reseller, actually, one of our clients told us that this client of this reseller has a lot of data, and the WIP reporting started to become very slow. And it would hit the database of the ERP system, and is becoming a big issue when they're trying to drill into details of the WIP reporting. So what we did in this particular version of the WIP reporting is, you know, we have the contract amounts, the estimated costs, the revised amounts, but then these three columns are the transaction costs. So these numbers are as of today, but the actuals can also be filtered by whatever you want. So by default, it shows as of today, the transaction cost, revenue, and gross profit. But if you want to see the numbers some time ago, let's say I want to go back and see the numbers, how they were at the end of 2018 on any period, when you select, it changes the whole transaction cost segment to show how the numbers were back in that particular period. This was a requirement from one of these clients that was making the report very slow. Now, when you look at the WIP report, quite often you need to drill down into a specific project on an ad hoc basis to see more details. In here, let's say if I choose a project like, you know, Marlin here, I just click on it. What happens is it highlights the whole line and opens at the bottom this task report specifically for this project. So if I unclick, I'm not seeing any tasks. When I click, it spells out the bottom section. It shows me all the same metrics, but now at the task level. So I have the project ID, I have the tasks, the account groups, the tasks, and all the details here. And suppose you look in those tasks and you look at the labor and something is not right. If I click labor or any of these data sets, what happens is it opens a third section at the bottom of the report with the actual transactions. So the top is high-level project KPIs. The second section is breaking down projects at the task level, but it's still aggregated by task. In the bottom has every single transaction detail. So on a single page, I can see all of these things together. And if you were to look, let's say I want to see a few projects together, maybe related to the same customer, I can just pick and select a few projects together. And as I add them, it keeps on adding the whole section. Now the tasks has now tasks for all the projects that I selected. And I can drill down to the transactions at the bottom for all the projects selected, and I see the details here. So from an ad hoc standpoint, in being able to go from the top level, middle level, all to the most detail is pretty straightforward. Now, sometimes when you look at the details, this table here can be huge with a lot of details, and this can be a very small real estate area. Well, what if I want to see this, on a big screen? We have the Go to Transaction button. I click on it, and now it takes all of those transaction details and put in a full screen. And now you can, more easily scan through to find some data points that are important. Or if you want to download this data into Excel, for instance, or PDF or whatever, you just click the download, let's say cross tab, which would be a Excel, and now the data is in Excel, so you could do whatever you want to do in Excel. So the ability to take project, drill down, go to more details, go to transactions, export to Excel is dramatically simplified in data itself. This particular client of ours, that they were having issues running their WIP reporting because a lot of data. Right now with Data Self, when they run the WIP reports in Data Self, it completely has zero impact, performance impact in the source system, in the ERP. And the reporting Data Self runs in seconds, not minutes. That was the case when they were running before in the ERP system. So much faster and more interactive. So this is a WIP report. Let me show now some dashboards we have built that usually is a good starting point for construction companies look at their projects and customers. In this example right now, I have here the contracts or the projects. I can see the contract amount revised, or if you want to see actual amount, could be easily changed to actuals, the cost and the gross profit. So right now, this is sorted in a descending order by revenue, and then I can see what's happening with the gross profit by project. So this section is by contract. This section here is by task. So revenue by task, cost by task, gross profit by task across all projects. And sometimes what you might realize is that some tasks that sometimes can be tagged the same across different projects, they're having interesting threats and opportunities, and you can just scan through them. Hey, I want to see, for instance, what's happening with my task 1, 2, 3. I select those 3 tasks, and by selecting here, it will show which projects are using those tasks, the cost associated, the gross profit, and how those things are changing over time. So very interactive way to see contracts, tasks, and things over time. All of these dashboards, they're highly interactive. Hey, what if I want to see only one of these projects? When I click on the project here, it will show my tasks associated in my timeline for each one of them. Very interactive way to analyze projects, revenues, and profitability. And again, if you select a few of them, you have the whole dashboard to change accordingly. Many clients, when they see this kind of dashboard, they say, wow, this is great, but what I want to see is actually, and they want to, they require modifications. Sometimes we make the modifications for them. Sometimes we teach the client how they can use the report editor to make those changes. And many clients actually are empowered to change a lot of these reports and dashboards by themselves. Another area that is very popular among construction companies is cash flow projection in a way. And this is our standard starting template to show how we can bring data together. This is, is showing as of today. So this would be today's date. The bars going up, moving forward, is money coming in. the bars going down, moving forward is money going out, and the line is the aggregation of how much I have on the bank today, plus inbound minus outbound money as you move forward. And I also have here my line of credit. So overall, I want to be sure that my projected cash flow never crosses my line of credit possibilities, so I don't run out of cash. All this aggregation of information in the chart can be seen on the right in detail. So here on the right, you have every single detail, receivable, open receivables, open payables. Depending on what version you go with data self, you can add payroll information, loans that you owe, recurring expenses and revenues. All the transactions can feed into the details that eventually feed into the chart. Now, again, let me show how interactive cash flow analysis is in data self. Suppose I look at this dashboard, and let's say that yesterday I had no problem, the money was not crossing my line of credit, and today when I run this dashboard, it crossed the line of credit. What the heck, right? What happened? And then I realized that on this day, which is October the 19, my cash flow is going negative. It's crossing the line of credit. It's becoming red. What happened on the 19th? So I can click this data point, and by doing so, it will filter on the right all the details only for the details related to this data point. So on the October 19th, I see all the transactions associated to that data point. And in my sample database, I see that this vendor was added and is about $1 million in AP amount. And let's say it was a mistake. Let's say that this vendor has not been approved. The invoice was not approved and somehow got into my AP list of invoices to pay. And as the CFO, I will say, okay, I'll fix this. I'll talk with my AP person, but let's see what's going to happen with my cash flow once I remove this vendor from my cash flow projection. So I can click on the vendor and say exclude. I don't want to see this vendor in my cash flow. When I exclude it, the cash flow is recalculated, and now the cash flow projection no longer crosses the line of credit. And like yesterday, this is how my cash flow is supposed to be working right now. Common question, right now, this is a 40-day cash flow projection. How hard it is to change to 20 days, 50 days, 365 days, whatever it is as hard as coming to this particular box here and putting the number that you want, 365. And now this cash flow projection would go 365 days out. Now, how do we do the cash flow projection in the long run? Well, by default, the out of the box only looks at actual transaction in your ERP, open receivables, open payables. If you have cash payroll information, we can push it out, assuming it's not going to change. So the out of the box setup only looks at open transactions and recurring transactions, but the system can be customized to fill in the blanks. The more out you are, you might want to use averages or projected amounts based on, let's say, what was the same amount last year plus 5%. So we can do cash flow projection even when you don't have transactions to support, so you can have a visibility into your cash flow analysis. So a popular dashboard also for construction companies. The next one I want to show or talk about is the receivables. Some companies, they don't care about receivables. Some companies, receivables is a critical part of their business. And in construction, in some construction companies, it's very critical to combine together AR receivables as well as pro forma. This pro forma request actually came from Hartzell, as one of our clients using Acumatica. They're spending a lot of hours weekly taking their receivables out of the ERP, their pro forma invoices out of the ERP, and combining together, because pro forma invoices are receivables, but it's just waiting for a signature from an engineer to make that pro forma an invoice. So this was a big request. We blended the data of both data sets, And now when clients are analyzing the receivables, they can choose, I only want to see receivables, or I also want to see with the pro forma, which means it's going to be impacting my cash flow as well. And like any dashboard in DataSelf, highly interactive. So this is the total balance, open receivables, by aging bucket, using this color legend, by location where the money is coming from, again, using the same color legend as this, by due date, where this is today, on time or going forward, and late invoices or using the legend, by salesperson, by document, by customer, and all the details. And let's say, hey, what if I want to only see the invoices that are late? I can easily select only the late buckets. By selecting them, the whole dashboard changes to only show me the total late by bucket, and then the same perspective that I showed before. Or maybe when you look at this dashboard, you want to focus on customers, like say my top customer and this one and this, they have a lot of old invoices. So let me select those 3 customers, this one, and this one, and this one. So I'm selecting 3 customers that have a lot of aging, open balances. And now I have a perspective of these 3 customers, what's going on, the documents, the details, and this could be a conversation of a salesperson that owns those 3 customers to see if they can work out the receivables. So highly interactive, and again, to get this data into a PowerPoint or Excel is just a few clicks away. Moving along, P&L, balance sheet, and financial, we call the financial analytics. The DataSelf Enterprise version is extremely robust and provides a lot of ways to look at financial reporting. On the advanced analytics is something that we're still working with a few clients on a one-on-one basis. It's more limited, but what some of our clients have been doing with P&L with advanced analytics is kind of doing a P&L by project. So this is an example, kind of a mock-up where you have a simple P&L structure with all the, the P&L buckets that make sense from a project standpoint. And then you can have columns. Every column would be a project. So you can see how the profitability, the total sales went up by project. Right now I have the filter showing all projects. And if I don't want to see them all, I only want to see 1 project, maybe 2 projects, I just select, press apply. And now, the P&L by project becomes easily sliced and diced. We're very excited with our financial analytics in our advanced analytics. We believe there's a lot of potential to help clients very inexpensively, giving management better visibility and empower them to easier analysis. But right now, in the advanced analytics, the financial side is still limited compared to what we can do in enterprise. Alrighty, well, this was mostly the product presentation per se. Let me go back to my website, and if you want to learn more about our solution for construction by yourself, if you're kind of self-service kind of person, if you go to dataself.com, on the industry menu, you can click construction. This page is also fairly new, but we are adding content to help you learn about DataSelf. And if you scroll down, you'll see some information, including some sample reports and dashboards. In a very popular page in other construction, in other industry pages, is the View Sample Reports. If you click View Sample Reports, you'll see on this page a bunch of reports and dashboards available. By the way, the first section is for advanced analytics, which is the inexpensive product that I told you about. So you can see here, there's a bunch of reports and dashboards available out of the box. And then after, you go to the enterprise analytics, which has thousands of reports and dashboards out of the box. And if you scroll down, you're going to see a bunch of them covering all different areas of the business. Anyhow, so feel free to explore this page. It's very informative. Alrighty, let me go back to my PowerPoint. Oopsie. All right, I hope you have enjoyed. Pricing. So the advanced analytics version, as I mentioned, starts at $2.99 per month. The $299 per month is what we call the core financials. Core financials is mainly AP, AR, sales, open receivables, open payables, sales, and for some systems we also have cash flow projection. Like Acumatica, we have cash flow projection, the basics. For other ERPs, we don't. But the starting price is $299 per month. If you want to add the construction edition component, then there's an extra cost on top of it. I think it's about $100 to get all of the things from the core system plus the project accounting reports, dashboards, and connectors. Now, because you attended this webinar, we have a special going on, which is a 14-day free trial. And this is limited availability. So if you want it, send me an email, and I'll give my email information at the end of the webinar. I can give information how you can enable the free trial to see if DataSelf is going to work for you or for your clients. Enterprise, as I mentioned, by the way, let me go back to my website quickly to talk about pricing and where you can find some more information about pricing. So how can you learn a little bit about pricing on DataSelf? Pick the ER system that you're working with, let's say Acumatica. When you go to this page, you have the Advanced Analytics and Enterprise Analytics. Advanced Analytics starts at $299, and actually this is the page for Advanced Analytics. You have a lot of information as the solution for Acumatica as a whole. There's the pricing list right here. So the core systems is $299, starting with this Acumatica resource level and all those details. The construction adds this depending on your resource level. In Acumatica, you can deploy the solution in about 15 minutes. Yep, 1-5 minutes, you deploy the solution and you get Advanced Analytics right off the box. If you go to the Enterprise Analytics button and you click here, you get another page that has more information about the Enterprise version, including some comparison between the two. In Enterprise starts at $14.99, and usually we'll have to have a conversation to spec out the details and come up with a pricing specifically for your needs. Alrighty, let's go back to the PowerPoint. And with that, I close my one-way talk. And now I'm going to be addressing questions. So if you have asked anything, or if you want to put some time, go to the either Q&A section in Zoom or the chat box to ask questions. And I already see some questions here. Let's see. So one of the questions here is from Christine. Is everything you showed today available out of the box, or do all the reports have to be built per customer? Christine, thank you for the question. What I showed today is all available out of the box. Everything that I showed today is available out of the box. Most of the things I showed today is available with the Advanced Analytics, which is the $299 per month, inexpensive. Mostly on the P&L, maybe cash flow is when we might need to talk Enterprise. But project accounting, receivables, things of that nature is available out of the box, as I showed for the construction side. Good question, Christine. Christine, thank you. Another question here is there a security layer if we want the PM to see only their stuff across all areas, my projects, my cash requirements related to me, my receipts, is this achievable? There's no name to this person, but it's about security. Absolutely. As I mentioned, DataSelf uses technology that has been designed for Fortune 2000 companies. And there's a lot of dials how to control security. The simplest way to get started with security is we have the concept of projects. Let's say you have a project accounting project, a sales project, a financials project, is a CEO project, a upper management project. And then each project you can tell who has access to that information. So if I'm, project manager and I am in the project accounting or whatever that I manage folder, I would only see, I could not see GL, I could not see sales, I could not see anything else but whatever I have entitled to. So that's the first level of security. Just put people in containers, and in those containers you put the reports and dashboard that these people care. So that's level one. It's super simple. Usually as part of our training, we teach people how to segment people in different projects. Now, what you're asking is the next level of security, which is called role level security. And the idea is, let's say, your question, the project manager, when they go to look at their projects, we can associate the project manager ID with transactions that this person has access to. So when they see a project costs and revenues report, that is the same across all project managers. However, when I log in, suppose I'm the project manager for the West Coast, the solution will only render data from the West Coast. While let's say Mary from the East Coast, she opens the same report as me inside of the same project, the project management reports, but the report only renders transactions associated to her project manager ID. While the VP of services above us, when this person opens the same report, they will have information across everyone, and then this person would be able to segment Johnny's or Mary and anyone. So yes, absolutely. We have several layers of security that can control what each person has access to and what each person can do. Can a person export data? Yes or no? Can a person do ad hoc analysis? Can a person do natural language? Yes, there's a lot of the control of security level. All right. Let's see if there are more questions. The question here is from John. How long does it take to deploy data self? John, good question. So there are two versions of data self, the advanced analytics and the enterprise analytics. Advanced analytics, on average, takes less than half an hour to deploy the out of the box. If you have a system like Acumatica, it's self-service. You just go to the website, fill out the form. You got to upload some GIs to your Acumatica, and it takes like 15 minutes to do that job, and a few hours your data comes alive in data self. If you have an on-premises system, usually takes about half an hour. We'll have to connect with your IT people to install a data extractor in your framework, and then usually after this half an hour work, in a few hours the data comes alive in data self. So advanced analytics deployment is fairly self-service and is fairly straightforward. Yes, the out of the box might not be ready. Half of our clients, the out of the box is perfect. They deploy out of the box, they go through the learning, they go to the training, and they take off. The other half of the clients, they might need more customizations, optional fields, and modifications to the back end. So it might take some days, maybe weeks, going back and forth to make some tweaks. But overall, advanced analytics is super duper simple, yet very empowering comparing to what you have today. When you go enterprise, it has a full-fledged data warehouse. The out-of-the-box deployment usually takes about a week. But when you go enterprise, usually your needs are more sophisticated. You might have more data, more tenants, more companies. It's usually you have more elaborate business. So on average, the enterprise deployment to go live, to get users to use, usually is at about a month. Out of the box a week, but testing, customizations, usually within a month is when the enterprise version becomes ready to go for users. John, thanks for your question. There was the questions. Looks like these are the questions. Let's see if I miss anything over here. Nope, that was it. Well, this webinar is being recorded, and we're going to make it available for you tomorrow. And we're going to also post this webinar recording in our construction webpage. If you want to discuss anything more about data self, how it can help you and your clients, my contact information is here, my email and phone number. I hope you have found this webinar informative. Again, it's our first webinar specific for construction. If you think we should cover more, less other topics, let us know. We're here excited to help the construction business and help decision makers make better decisions out of it. I hope you have a great day. Thanks for joining. Stay safe, well, and sane. Thank you very much.